Our trust in his sacrifice is all we need to be a part of this covenant. We are joined to the Father in a personal relationship and a covenant that's based on himself and his own love. Grasp this tonight. God took a covenant greater than the red heifer with Abraham, and he actually based it on himself. He made an oath. See, when we actually make an oath, we try to make an oath greater than ourselves. Oh, I make this oath based on my mama in the grave. We do. We make some, or I swear by God. We try to find something greater. There is nothing greater than God. So what was he going to base it on? His life's blood. He based it on himself. Himself in the flesh, Jesus Christ poured out his blood, and he based his own covenant on himself because there is no greater. Mm-hmm. So he took the very greatest thing he had, and that was blood. When Jesus became flesh, based it on himself and made a covenant with mankind that if we put our faith in what Christ did on the cross and in the blood, we have a covenant with God, and we don't have to do a thing except for believe it. Now that word believe is deeper than you think, because it doesn't mean you just think it's okay. The word believe there means to trust, adhere to, cling to, rely on. That's what it means. It's a deeper concept than our idea of a believe. I was teaching this to T with me. We were going through Bronner's a couple weeks ago when we were downstate. Big Christmas store down in Frankenmuth that all the women just love, you know. We're walking through there, and they've got little ornaments hanging everywhere. And everywhere I turn, there's little ornaments that say love and joy and peace and believe. And I'm walking through there, and I had been studying what believe means, to rely on and trust and cling to and adhere to. And the Lord I kept seeing it, and I said, God, do people really know what that means? Belief doesn't just mean that your mind gets it. It means it's in here. It means adhere to it. It means it's glued to you. It's become a part of you. It's deeper. Do we really understand the covenant that we have with God and how deep this goes? It goes really, really deep, you guys, like way deeper than I think we grasp. I sat today just looking at this going, God, I don't even think I understand it. I just don't think I grasp the depth of how deep his blood and how deep this covenant goes, how much it means to God. That he made this covenant, he didn't make it with anything of man. Because if it was based on us, it could fail. He didn't make it on anything temporal. He made it on himself. Because it's infinite, forever, cannot fail, cannot change. And it's permanent. And I can totally trust in it and rely on it and never falter in it. Because I can rely on his blood that will never change. I was listening to a song today, and the blood will never lose its power.
That's right.
It will never lose its power. It's not like a battery that eventually loses power and you got to get it charged. His blood doesn't do that. It's perfect. It has still the same power it does today that it did 2,000 years ago. It hasn't changed. His covenant hasn't changed. He hasn't changed his mind. He made this a permanent covenant. He stuck to it. He never changed his mind after Abraham's covenant. He really didn't. That's why Israel got so many chances, was because of Abraham. Thank God for Abraham. They wouldn't have got those chances had God not done what he did with Abraham.
Right.
They would have been toast. And we wouldn't have gotten a chance. You know, there's no greater thing that God could have sworn by. But Jesus, all man and all God, 100% both. And God used his blood to make that covenant. So we have a covenant with God, and we're now his children. No matter who your earthly parents were or are, your family, your heritage, or your past, you come to Christ and you're now a daughter of the Most High God. Mm-hmm. You have a new name, a new position, a new calling, and a new purpose. That is his grace in action. Mm-hmm. That is God's grace at Christ's expense. That's God's riches at Christ's expense. That's really what it is. That is grace. You're seeing grace in perfect form, that you come and get everything. You are now an heir. He has a plan for you. He validates you. Somebody that was once really, really close to me, she's no longer here. She's in heaven. Knew God from the time she was a teenager, gave her life to the Lord. But she struggled. She struggled the whole of her adult life with being validated, feeling accepted from people. And it all stemmed back from the fact that when she was a young teenager, about to graduate from high school, her sister and her got in a fight, and her sister looked at her one day and said, well, that's okay. You don't belong to our Father. You came from an affair.
Oh my goodness.
And so who you think raised you didn't raise you. And the wound that stuck in her, and even though this woman was a mighty woman of God and loved God with all of her heart, sadly did not really get the revelation that God is now her Father.
Right.
And validated her. And I remember meeting with her before she passed away, and I said, why do you struggle? And I remember telling her, I wish you could grasp what I see. This isn't who you are. And you struggle with validation, but I remember some of the battles she went through, because this was a real struggle for her. You guys, you can be in the kingdom for 40 years and still struggle from something from your past. And God's going, hello, I'm right here, and I've already done this. I've redeemed it in you. I have given you something new. Can you just let go? Listen, you might look at your heritage of your father or your mother and say, you know, look, I come from a really hard family. We don't have a good past and all this stuff. Listen, when you come to the kingdom, we all come the same way, naked, poor, and a mess. We all come to the kingdom with the same issues. Sinners. You can have, I came with a Christian family and a great background. You think I don't have issues with validation, do? We all come with the same baggage. We are all sinners. We all need a Savior and a Lord. But we need a Father to take us in His arms and change it, make it all new. And He does.
Amen.
That's the incredible story of redemption, that He does all of that. So no matter what your past or whatever you've come from, that's not who you are anymore. And that's really what covenant is. God makes a covenant with us through the cross and says, this is now who you are. This is how I see you. So if we could close our eyes and get a vision of what God really sees and grasp it and get beyond the worldly things, the things that people say,